Coming up on tonight's broadcast, the mad, mad world of mascots. We take you inside the inside story of life inside the costume, with shocking revelations from Eric the cell phone. We meet Colin Palmer, aka Nicole the Red Panda, a real-life furry, and child abuse in the media. We put our leading talk professionals to the test in a line-crossing, shocking shocker. Good evening, kia ora, whakaronga. They have names like Nettie, the Goodnight Kiwi, Woody Weed and Tina, the Table Talk Chicken. They are the mascots, the people in suits we use to distract our kiddies or canvas corporate carry-on. But are they friends or freaks? Tonight on EML, we take you behind the fake fur in a special investigation into the mysterious and sometimes dangerous world of Mascotry. We love them for their pantomime charm and their cartoonesque extravagances. Every sports team seems to have one. The odd protest has one. Even some TV shows have them. Indeed, some of our most enduring icons have been mascots. Ronald McDonald, the Goodnight Kiwi, and who could forget S6E2, the mascot of New Zealand's 1990 sesquicentennial. The mascot's world is the front line between the corporations or institutions they represent and the public, a sometimes dangerous place, a place this man knows well.
Do the dance, Chip.
John Bruff is now an established actor, but in the early years, he eked out a living as a mascot.
You had a drug problem and you're always late for work.
Yeah, well, I'm back now. I was Eric the cell phone at Ericsson Stadium for the rugby league games. So to be the Warriors playing any of the Aussie sides. And I just run around playing with the kids, waving at the adults. It was like the golden age of mascots, really. I think it's about 96, 95, 96. And, you know, in any one game, you'd have the Warrior Man, you'd have Wally the Wombat, Eric the cell phone, obviously. You'd have possibly the skinhead guy, you would have Shaver Man. And we also had Mr. Orca. My particular suit had this big grin with these big rosy cheeks and these eyes that looked, just screamed, help me. Help me. No one smiles for non-stop for 2 hours. It doesn't work. The suit's made of sponge and it's glued together, so you're inside this spongy suit with, you know, F2, ADOS F2, giving off unknown amounts of formaldehyde gas, apparently. So within half an hour, you're high as a kite.
What did the kids do to Eric? Push the numbers?
Push the numbers. Yeah. I think the first time it happened to me, I think the kid knew what she was doing. I didn't speak, so if someone said, can I dial my number in Eric, I'd go like that, and then she just gave me one huge punch right in the number 5, which was in the worst possible place. Not pleasurable.
You took a hammering.
Took a hammering. And after a while, you just think, you fucking little shits, you know? Who the fuck do you think you are? Little c***s.
In the provinces, where dressing up as animals is commonplace, mascots are venerated deities, especially on the sports field. Des Wallace is a publican from Whangarei, but for the last decade, he's been spending his winter weekends in green latex as Tane the Taniwha, the mascot for the Northland NPC rugby team.
Tonight we're coming off a win It'll be a fantastic crowd. It doesn't get any better than this, guys.
Tane's always a big hit with the local kids, but Northland's hardcore rugby fans are a little harder to please.
It's a myth and a legend, isn't it? So it's really just something that I've made up. So I've turned it into a friendly, crowd-pleasing, kid-loving kind of a monster, you know, that people seem to enjoy. So well, it's about enjoying. You've got to enjoy the kids. You've got to enjoy the game. You know, seeing kids smile. That's what it's about. You know, and just enjoying yourself. If you don't enjoy yourself on this, no one's going to enjoy watching you.
It really is an honest day's suit work for a hard-working mascot like Des, who just wants to entertain the kids. But what if your purpose in wearing animal suits is a little more self-indulgent? Colin Palmer is what's known as a furry. His interest in animal characters goes a little beyond teddy bears and chocolate animals. Colin, what's the origin of the word furry?
From the fur, obviously. Most of the well-known anthropomorphs are mammals, so they have fur.
Do you like to dress up in these costumes?
I don't normally dress up much, mainly due to lack of people to do it with.
This is Colin as his furry character, or fursona, Nicole.
Fursuit's Nicole. He's a red panda, and that's just a fursuit at the moment. He doesn't have much of a character because he's being a mascot. He just sort of jumps around and looks happy all the time. There's not much range of emotion you can do with that suit.
Is it kind of a fantasy of yours to kind of wear your suit more?
I'd like to get involved in more performance work. I'd like to get more furries together. Most of my friends are furries. It's furry fandom's how I meet a lot of people.
How important has the internet been for creating a furry culture?
For furry, it's been very important because it's a very diverse bunch. There's individually about 5 people in Hamilton, there's 10 in Auckland, and you don't have enough people to generally sustain a group of friends, just things to do until you get to broaden your reach and use the internet as an organisation thing to find more people and generally reach critical mass.
Before you go writing these people off as freaks and perverts, it pays to remember that some of our most prominent personalities have flirted with the fur. Mark Sainsbury was well known for his rabbit character Raoul, long before he strayed into current affairs.
Yeah, he's hopping mad about it.
What's your advice to anyone that's interested in becoming a furry?
Becoming one? Furry is something you just are, I think. It's a way to meet friends. It's a way to just share a common interest in something and get together and hang out.
Is being a furry, is it a sexual thing?
Furry isn't a sexual thing, though. Some furries have sexual parts of their lives, but no, furry is all about the character and the anthropomorphism and the animal side of it.
Because I noticed on the website there's sort of some blue is the word I'd use.
Yeah.
I'll read some blue pictures.
Yeah. So,
with animals having sex.
with furries having sex.
Furries having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big part of that is people that want to do furry as a hobby have to be able to create something to sell. And when you're creating art, it's just like creating magazines, sex sells. And so the artists, some of them, will drift into that kind of genre.
Have you ever wanted to have sex with an animal?
No. not a non-sentient animal. I mean, it's hard to have a partner that you can't communicate with.
If bestiality was legal, which animal would you want to have sex with?
It's a very hard one to answer. I mean, my furry interests are little animals, raccoons, red pandas, things like that. I'd be much more interested in seeing a real-life furry, anthropomorphic, 6 foot tall, fully sentient raccoon.
Fully sentient?
Sentient, yeah. Able to have an intelligent conversation with.
Right. Well, I guess that counts me out then. What do your friends and family think of it?
Oh, they think I'm really weird.
And have you always liked raccoons and red pandas?
Yeah. Raccoons have got a bit of a reputation, the sneaky, clever type thing. It appeals to me.
Are you saying you're sneaky and clever?
Yeah.
Well, you'd like to be sneaky and clever.
I aspire to be, maybe.
Still to come, our leading talk professionals are put to their toughest test yet. But before we go, ponder this. It's a tough call, but if you absolutely had to sleep with one of the following, who would it be? Murray Deaker or the Mad Butcher?
Really?
It's a tough call, but if you absolutely had to sleep with one of the following, who would it be? This week, the choice is Murray Deaker or the Mad Butcher. Imagine if you had to make that choice. Mad Butcher or Murray Deaker?
Oh my god.
The Mad Butcher or Murray Deaker?
Really?
The Mad Butcher or Murray Deaker? The Mad Butcher or Murray Deaker?
Who's Murray Deacon? Oh my god. The guy on the radio. I'd have to say no, neither.
You'd rather die?
No.
You absolutely had to.
Really? Was I dying?
Butcher?
Butcher. Oh my god, oh my god. That guy.
Deaker?
Yeah.
Not that guy.
Not that guy.
No, not that guy.
Oh, not that guy, that guy.
He looks a bit like that guy.
Oh my god.
What about just a
Murray
blowy...
Deaker, he's the guy with the bald head, isn't he?
Actually, I don't even know who Murray is. I'm just thinking Mad Butcher Yak, so who picks Murray?
Oh no. Oh no, I can't answer that. It is definitely
If you had to.
probably the Mad Butcher.
While most talkback hosts are outspoken against child abuse, especially if it involves Maoris, nearly all of them are against the anti-smacking law, designed to make excessive force illegal. So tonight, we go undercover testing talkback hosts with a caller who appears to be abusive towards a child while on air. Mark Bennett's been in talkback for 20 years, but let's see how long it takes him to come to the rescue of our baby in distress.
Morning, Colin.
G'day, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How you doing?
Mark
Good,
Bennett
thanks.
has been talking
Now,
about the strike at TVNZ.
Another woman in there talking about the... excuse me, I got this... looking after my child's giving me a bit of...
Oh, mate, you got a new baby. No, I know why you're awake in the middle of the night.
You don't know the half of it, Mark. Obviously, you don't know the half of it. Yeah, they had Barbara, whatever, Drever, and she was in the dark there. Shut up! Shut up! And she was in the dark there, and you could hardly even see her.
And the sound was okay? Everything else was...
Well, I'm not sure.
Bennett laughed when our caller yelled at the baby.
Shut up! Shut up!
Then he stumbled over his words
And with
and seemed more concerned about the sound at TVNZ than the child's welfare.
the sound was okay? Everything else was...
Well, I'm not sure.
Let's see how they fare at Newstalk ZB.
28 past, it's News Talk ZB.
ZB's
Right,
Bruce
hello,
Russell
Colin.
was talking about waste management
good.
when our caller confronted him with our child abuse challenge.
Because earlier on in your show you said that you were sick of people driving refuse trucks. All the way, I was doing manual rewa myself, and people are trying to get around you the whole time. You've actually not got a lot of room in a lot of these roads to move around cars that are parked sort of away from the curb. There's all sorts of problems. So people seem to get too testy.
Well, I'm glad to hear the other side of the coin from the driver's point of view.
Shut up!
OK, I will. 29 past, News Talk ZB.
Russell thought the verbal abuse was directed at him.
Shut up!
OK, I will.
He completely ignored the welfare of the baby. However, he did read the time correctly.
29 past, News Talk ZB.
Next up, Sky's Sports Talkback show hosted by Murray Deaker.
And while we're waiting for your calls, we want to look back at our Biomag moment. Casey was whacked into La La Land. Watch it.
Murray Deaker is a consummate professional. But how will he deal with our abusive caller?
Colin from Auckland, your question, please.
G'day, Murray. G'day, Errol.
Yeah, g'day, Colin.
I'm a Counties Manukau fan from... Shut up!
Errol, Colin, have you gone now? He is a Counties Manukau fan.
Was he crying from our last game?
Yeah.
Deaker laughed when our caller verbally abused the baby. His guest, Errol Brain, also laughed. And he made a joke.
He is a Counties Manukau fan.
Was he crying from our last game?
Yeah.
Let's see how our caller fares on Southland TV.
Colin, are you there with us?
Oh, g'day, how are you?
We're great.
Good. Now, look, my brother's a truckie, and he was running, he runs trucks from Tiwai aluminium smelter to up to Auckland at different times. And I just wanted to talk about the bridge and the bridge reconstruction. The bridge reconstruction.
Our abusive caller caused much mirth on Southland TV. But little or no concern was shown for the baby. And they even thanked our caller.
Colin, thanks for that call. I hope that gave you some answers.
Surely the state broadcaster will have tighter controls over its hosts when it comes to child abuse?
Now we're going to go to Colin in Manurewa. Hi, Colin.
Hi, Sarah, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing? And what's your question for Jim?
Sarah's guest Jim is an expert on children, but how will he cope with our caller?
An 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we have the computer out in the open in the lounge, and we've found that that's fine, and we can monitor what our children are seeing. But I'm finding that the problem's actually coming at school, where they have access to a teacher will look away or something, and that's where a lot of these children... Shut up! Where a lot of these children are seeing these things, and I want to know how we can stop that.
Jim clearly smirked when our baby was yelled at.
Shut up!
Later, he poked out his tongue, possibly hoping to cheer the baby up. Sarah was oblivious.
All right, moving along. Now, can I tempt you with a luxurious trip to Northland?
Radio Live calls itself the new voice of talk radio, but let's see how its staff handle our experiment.
Colin, hey, Colin.
Hey, Willie, how are
Willie
you?
Jackson has been talking about the departure of Clint Brown from TV3.
Clint Brown's got a bit of a rough deal over the years, but especially recently.
Yeah.
We had a batch just up the road from Clint up north. I won't say where it is, but one day we were having septic tank troubles, and he was walking by with his lovely wife, and he came out, gave us a hand with there was stuff muck everywhere, and came and gave us a and he gave us a hand, no problems at all. Didn't, just like an ordinary sort of a bloke. Look, shut up! And he gave us a hand, like an ordinary bloke.
Is that baby all right there, Colin?
Yep, no problem. Just looking after the grandkids.
Yeah.
You got to be firm, but firm.
Fair, jeez, mate, sound a bit, yeah, she's all right. Yeah, okay.
To his credit, Jackson showed concern for the baby.
Is that baby all right there, Colin?
But before long, he was prattling on about Clint Brown.
We're not for one moment saying that Clint's not a good bloke.
Disappointing end to our experiment. Still to come, Don Brash and Jerry Brownlee in Don and Jerry. To the celebrity share market now, and the Arab Sean Connery prepares to swing for his sins. American arseholic pastor and prostitution pickle. Demi's saggy knees making big waves in local hag rags. Brown and poo over PR handjob backhander, Petish. And the drought is over as Marsh gets wet over new boyfriend in the day.
Have you met my wife? She's from Singapore.
Yes, I fucking know that. Anyway, there's no delicate way of putting this, but you have to exercise a little restraint in your extra motherfucking marital affairs.
I know. But God give me strength. These are trying times. A man needs to be discreet. Well, I tried, but, blondes stand out.
Especially when the bulk of your fan base is motherfuckingly bald and grey. And for fuck's sake, zip it up.
Ooh, sorry. I like yellow.
I reckon next time, choose a married girl.
But, Maoris don't exist.
And that's our show. Coming up next week, a tribute to our top troublemakers and most sensational stirrers in an anti-establishment hootenanny, and cashing in on dissent with dialer protest. From all of us here at the NZBC. Hello, Jeremy speaking.
Yeah, g'day, Jeremy. Look, it's Colin here. I just wanted to talk to you regarding your unfair treatment of Mark Sainsbury tonight on the show. I know for a fact that there are other people in the media who wear costumes such as Howard Dobson wears a Stone outfit a lot of the time, and I know that John Stewart used to wear an octopus outfit at certain parties he used to frequent.
At number 42, he's the original furry. It's the prototype Cookie Bear.
Must have Hudson's. Us Hudson's cookie lovers never had it so good.
Hudson's cookies are made with all the care in the world. That's why some people can't keep their paws off them.
Humpty diddly do.
This show was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.